All right, let's take a look at 9.2, which is on page 400 of your textbook. On page 400, we're learning about the mean of a set of data. So last week we talked about how to plot statistical information on a dot plot. We talked about how to find clusters, peaks, and gaps. And we talked about how to figure out if a question is statistical or not. If there's more than one possible answer, then yes, it is a statistical question. So today, we're taking a look at, actually we're gonna start on 398. 398, the exercises are on 400. On page 398, mean equals average. So when I figure your grades for your final report card grade, we work on a total point system. So what I do is I write down how many points you got for each assignment. If there were 7 points available and you got 7, would write down a 7. If there were 7 points available and you got 5, then I would give you 5 points for that assignment. Then I take all the point values that you earned and I add them up for the entire 9 weeks. And then I divide by how many points I assigned, how many points you could possibly earn if you made 100 on everything. And that's how we find your average, which is in mathematical terms, a mean. So the mean is the average. It is the sum of the data divided by the number of data values. Okay, so it's the sum of the data divided by the number of data values. So for example, it says here in your example, in the box at the top of 398, it gives you 8, 5, 6, and 9. 8, 5, 6, and 9 are all data numbers or data values. And so what you would do is you would add these together. 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 6 is 19, plus 9 equals 28, divided by how many numbers there are. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's 4 numbers. They all totaled 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. So the average or mean of this data set is 7. Okay, so let's do some example problems. Come on. Sometimes this takes forever to get all these little erase marks. Okay. All right, so example 1. Example 1 says, the table in the box on the left shows the number of text messages sent by a group of friends over a week. What is the mean number of messages sent? So what is the average number of messages that were sent? Okay, so Mark sent 120, plus Laura sent 95. I like to add them as I go rather than just listing out this whole big list that I then have to go back and add up. Plus Stacy's 101 plus Josh's 125. Plus Kevin sent 82. Plus Maria. Let's continue this. Maria sent 108. Plus Manny, who sent 90. For a total of 721 total text messages sent between all these friends over the course of a week. So we take our total, all those added values, 721, divided by how many numbers we added together. We added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can go back to the box and count Mark, Laura, Stacy, Josh, Kevin, Maria, Manny. That's 7. So divide it by 7. 7 goes into 7 once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract, bring down, can't do it. Subtract, bring down. So your answer for what is the average number of text messages is 103. So basically what we're saying here is some people sent more than 100, a couple of people sent less than 100. But if we took the people that sent more and we gave some of their text messages to the people that sent less, we could spread this out to where every single person would have sent 103. Because there's 7 friends, and if they each sent 103, that'd be 721, which is the total of what they sent. Now the only difference is, like, this guy only sent 82. Well, we could take, he needs 18 to get to 100. We could take 18 from this top person, Mark, who was super busy texting, give them to this guy right down here and get him closer to 100, and then we could take some from Stacy, who sent 101, and give those to Manny. And if we redistributed it to where everyone had an equal amount sent, it would be 103. Okay? All right, so let's look at so C, yes, 103. Okay, example 2. I was making sure we did everything we had to with that one. Okay, example 2 on page 398, we have a double bar graph that shows the monthly rainfall amounts for 2 cities over a 6-month period of time. And you can see the way they did this bar graph is the darker green is city 1 and the lighter green is city 2. So for November, you have a darker, which is city 1, and a lighter, which is city 2. And then for December, you have a darker, which is city 1, and a lighter, which is city 2. So what we're going to do, you may have already guessed, is we're going to add up all of city 1 and then divide by however many months or however many numbers we added together. And then we're going to add up all of city 2, and we're going to divide by that same number. So we collected 6 months worth, so we should be adding 6 numbers for each city, meaning we divide by 6. So November for city 1, it's 3.5, and then 2.2 for December. January was 1.9, February 2.1, March 2.5, and April 3.4. So we're going to add all these. Now this one, I didn't do the running total where I added 2, got the answer and added another. I'm doing it in an alternate way here for you. So this is 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 9 is 19, plus 2 is 21, plus 5 is 26. Bring down my decimal. Notice how I lined up all my decimals. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this one is 15.6. Okay, and then we divide by 6. So 15.6 divided by 6. Bring that point up. 6 can't go into 1, so 6 into 15 twice. 2 times 6 is 12. Subtract, bring down, 6 into 36, 6. So the average or the mean for City 1 is 2.6. Now we have to repeat this process with City 2. City 2 is 1.7, 1.6, 2.2, 2.1, 2.7, and 1.7. Make sure there's 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? 6 and 7 is 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 and 14, 7 and 7 is 14, so 16 and 14 is 30. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Bring down that decimal. Again, notice how I lined up my decimals. So the total data value for City 2 is 12. Well, 12 divided by 6, that's an easy 2.0. Okay, so now it says compare. It says compare the monthly rainfall. So you could say City 1 had 2.6 and City 2 was 2.0 monthly rainfall, most likely in inches. So City 1 was greater. It averaged more rainfall than City 2. And then if we had to tell how much, it's 6/10 more. But it just says compare them. So all we have to say is City 1 is more than City 2. Okay, so page 399, take a moment to try the on your own number 1. You can pause this video, take a moment, try to work it yourself, and then come back to start again and see how you did. Okay, so hopefully you've worked the problem. And so now it's 49 plus 62. I'm going to add as I go. Plus 52. Plus 54. When I'm doing numbers like this, it's real easy to skip over a number, so that's why I like to do it this way. 61, so 70. Plus 55. plus 53. Okay, so 49, 62, 52, 54, 61, 70, 55, and 53. And if I did my math right, that's 456 divided by how many numbers were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can count back in my book and make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 5 times 8 is 40. 56. 8 times 7 is 56. So the average or the mean is 57. Now, some of these numbers are higher than 57, some are lower, but again, remember, if we took some away from the higher and added it to the lower, we could redistribute all these values to where we would have 8 numbers that were all 57. So the average is 57. Okay, the last thing we need to talk about today is outliers. So, example 3. Okay, example 3 says, the table shows the heights of several Shetland ponies. And you can see how they've done a number line. 26, 28, and they've got 1 there, 30, 32, 4, 36, 38, and there's 2 at 37, which they didn't put on the graph, and 2 at 38, 1 at 39, 3 at 40, and 1 at 42. So you can see how they've counted by 2s, and then those in-betweens are the odd numbers in between. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 numbers here. And if you add these values, so if you go through and you do 28 plus 35 and 35, no, sorry, 37 and 37 plus 38 plus 39 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 42, you get 379 if you add all those up. And then 379 divided by 10 is 37.9. You can see how most of the numbers here, we have a peak, we have a cluster, we have a big gap. This 28, this is what I like to think of as the odd guy out, the odd man out over here. You've got all this data that's relatively close together in a cluster, and then you've got this guy out here all by himself. That's called an outlier. And an outlier is an anomaly or something that's not normal, okay? So here, if we do the mean and we include the outlier, then it makes our number, because this is so low, it makes our average lower than it really should be. Because you can see that 37 would be somewhere in here, but that's not really the middle of our data. The middle of our data is closer to like over here somewhere. So look what happens when we redo this and we forget the outlier. We just take him totally out. We add all these numbers again. So 37 plus 37 plus 38 plus 38 plus 39 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 42. That would be, I'm not going to add them all again. I'm going to cheat and just subtract the outlier. 351. And now I want to find the mean or the average of that data. So 351, now we're not going to do divided by 10 because we're not adding 10 numbers at that point. We're only doing 9. Because remember, we kicked this one out over here, the 28. So divided by 9, that would make our average 3. That would make our average 39. And just by looking at the data, I can tell you that, isn't my spotlight working? Just by looking at the data, I can tell you that since this is a cluster right here, our average should be somewhere in here, which is what we get when we kick that outlier out. So an outlier is anything that's like way off, okay? All right, so all you're going to do is page 400. You're going to do 6 through 11 on page 400. 6 through 11. Please write neatly so that I can read your writing. All you're going to do is find the mean of the data. Please don't forget to put your page number and all that good information up at the top so that I can easily find that as well. Find the mean of the data. So all you're going to do for 6, 7, 8, 9 is you're going to add up the numbers, divide by how many numbers you added. For 10, these are his finishes in golf. So he had a first place, a second place, a first place, a first place, a 12th place, a 6th place, a second place, a 15th place, a 37th place, a first place, a second place, a first place, a 26th place, a 9th place, and a first place. So part A of this question says, find the mean. Add up all these numbers, including any outliers, and then give me the average. And then it says, identify 2 outliers. Identify 2 outliers. And then give me the mean of that and see how it changes. So what was the mean finish? I want you to do it with the outliers, then subtract those out, and do it without the outliers. Don't forget, you're going to have 2 outliers. So when you do that the second time, you're going to divide by 2 less than the first time. And then tell me what those outliers are. I mean, obviously, if he's finishing first, second, first, 37th was a really bad day for this guy or girl. And 26th wasn't normal either. So I'm adding a step here to 10. I want you to do the mean both ways, with the outlier, without the outliers, and then tell me what the 2 outliers are. And then the last part on number 11A, is this a statistical question? And explain. Remember, at the beginning of the video, we talked about what makes something a statistical question. And then B, use the mean of the values in the table to answer the question of how long are commercial breaks. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this is pretty straightforward. Again, page 400, 6 through 11, all. Have a good day.